Seven Pines is such a fun battle, and the reason is because we get all kinds of allied troops. And yeah, notice that I do not build up any units that I'm not taking to battle. Again, that's a complete waste of money. Only invest money into units that you're going to take to battle because I'm going to get a ton of free weapons. And, well, why buy guns when you get them for free? So, yeah, we have a significant advantage in this battle, and I'm going to play this on double speed as usual because the enemy doesn't really have much of a chance, so you can just watch how the units maneuver. As usual, I'll keep everybody supplied. When the enemy attacks, I'll fall back. When the enemy falls back, I'll advance. Stay out of hand-to-hand combat, and try desperately to keep the 24-pound howitzer moving, although the enemy retreats so fast that, again, that's going to be a challenge. In this battle, the enemy is right on top of your allies' position, and they're going to attack, and they're going to attack fast. Because that's what the Confederate Army does whenever it is fresh. And I swear, those Confederate troops have to have roller skates or skateboards. They move so fast. I have my units on run, and you cannot outrun them. They're just lightning fast. And they all have morale at 100, I think. So that artillery blast, I think, slowed them up. And then my troops got there just in time to hit them with a volley. Now here's an interesting thing. My unit on the right of that little semicircle, I would think that that Confederate unit over there that's about to charge would go straight into the units in front of it. No, he's going to attack my unit in the flank. That's kind of interesting. So again, pop a detached skirmisher to get out of hand-to-hand fighting. And sure enough, he popped right out of those woods, again on roller skates, and hit my unit in the flank, which I don't want that. So I have all my units on run, so my units will turn direction and fire quickly. And we can get my unit out of hand-to-hand fighting. Notice, though, how artillery really breaks the enemy, particularly canister fire. Even these very strong Confederate units cannot stand up to canister fire. It just seems to really break them. And then once they've broken, they're more fragile when they come back. I mean, yeah, the AI gets to retreat for 3 seconds and then come back fresh, but they're not as strong. They're not as fast. Their morale and their condition has been damaged. So now they behave like, well, like my units. Always happy to get 3-on-1. That's unusual that my unit on the far right routes like that, the allied unit. That's a bit unusual. Usually I can save that unit from routing, but I'll take that. That's not altogether a bad thing. He comes out of the woods, and I love when the enemy just charges closer to my artillery. And he did. He charged right into my artillery, and also every time the enemy charges, they look for a flanking opportunity on the units that advance. Sometimes you can get flanking opportunities on a unit charges, and you get a flanking opportunity on both flanks. Yeah, canister to the face. And I'd like to stop this other guy before he gets into the woods, because he'll be a lot easier. Now, I really don't care about the flag. The flag is not the objective. What I really want to do is create kind of a horseshoe-shaped kind of line with artillery firing at the top of the U shape and also on the sides, and just inflict massive casualties on the enemy. So over here I have a little pocket of troops that I've cornered, and I can do a lot of damage to these guys. Yeah, I don't want my good unit with 1855s to get into hand-to-hand fighting. No thanks. So I'll hit that unit front, flank, and with canister. And that should knock him out for a while. Get my units into the woods. This unit here, if you send a unit around like I am right now, but further to the left and rear, you can kind of push that guy, keep that guy in front of you rather than what's about to happen, which is he's going to retreat to some really weird direction, which, by the way, should not happen. Devs, we still have a problem with units retreating in directions that make no sense whatsoever. There's no reason why this unit, given a choice of retreating toward the rest of the Confederate Army and its chain of command, would choose to retreat toward Washington, D.C. I mean, it makes no sense at all. So, yeah, and what I'm doing here is two of the units that are very small, that are allied units, I'm combining them before one of them shatters. One of them gets too small and might shatter, so I combine them into a bigger unit, so just put an end to that. And now it's a decent-sized unit. Okay, my guy in the woods there has to turn around and fire, and he does it very quickly because I have him on run. But I can't fall back because of how close I am to the routed enemy unit. I can't fall back, so I have to accept hand-to-hand fighting. Okay, now, in a sane world, the enemy would have retreated to my left as I'm looking at the screen, but he doesn't. Okay, that wasn't too horrible. My Harper's, I really didn't want those Harper's Ferries to get into hand-to-hand fighting. But it turned out the enemy broke right away. Okay, and look where the enemy retreated. Okay, that's going to be a pain, because now I'm going to have to detail a pretty significant force to running this guy down. And if he had just retreated in a normal direction, these guys could have covered my left flank and pushed the whole enemy army into a little corner of the map and killed them all in one place. And that would have been, well, it just would have looked better. It would have made sense. I'm looking at my artillery. Too far, all of my artillery is too far away. And I'm going to start moving the supply wagon around to make sure all my units, my infantry units, stay topped up with supply. Yeah, spacebar, if you hit fallback, then spacebar makes your units stop falling back and immediately fire a volley into the enemy. And again, everything happens much faster if your units are on run. Now, I'm not going to have these units run through the woods a great distance because that'll just exhaust your units and make them perform badly. So I'm going to have to walk a very long distance and basically walk this guy down all the way into the corner of the map through the woods, which will take a while. Yeah, we're really in the pursuit phase now. Someone might say when the units get down to maybe 400, maybe you should just charge into them. And way too many times I've done that in previous games, and sometimes that works, and the units, the enemy units immediately collapse, shatter, or surrender. And sometimes they'll stand there and fight to the death and cause you a lot of casualties. And it's just better to take the safe path and just fire volleys into the enemy. And the other thing is, if the enemy surrenders, you don't get any experience for that. If you're firing volleys into the enemy, you're racking up experience. So from a meta gaming perspective, it's actually better if the enemy doesn't surrender because you get more experience. But that's not the reason I do it. The reason I do it is because too many times I've been punished. I've paid a price because I charged and the enemy was nowhere near breaking, and it cost me a lot of casualties. If the enemy has any morale and condition at all, they're just going to stand there and fight to the death and inflict a lot of unnecessary losses on your units. There goes the enemy commander, always nice to see. I assume it works the same way for the AI. The commander helps units recover morale. I don't know if it does condition, I just assume that it does. But morale affects so many things. So if the enemy commander is nearby, the units recover faster, basically. Specifically morale. And so you take that guy out, and they don't recover morale quite as fast. Yep, that unit shattered. Nice. I like to detach skirmishers, use them for a while, then reattach them to the unit, and then detach a new batch of full-strength skirmishers. So, yeah, you don't want your skirmishers to get too low in size, because they'll shatter. And let's say they get down to 80 and they take a blast, and then you'll just lose 80 men in one volley. I like to bring them back up to something closer to full strength so they can survive. Okay, I've taken out all the units, and Yeah, I would like to say that that is, it's hard to calculate the kill ratio. It's over four, but a lot of it was allied units, and allied units did a really good job here. So I'm not sure what my kill ratio to loss ratio was. We got them all. That's important. And four new Brigadier Generals. These guys are going to be division commanders, and that's absolutely terrific. I'm very, very happy with that. And we have lots of raw recruits. We can start building our army for the next couple of big battles, which are going to be, I think, the toughest battles in the entire campaign. So that'll be next.